Teresa Young from the Ms. Foundation. I invite her to come forward and kick us off and begin our day with what I know you will, acknowledge is a tremendous, tremendous shot in the arm to our efforts. So please, come forward. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Oh, everybody's coming. Have you all come forward. Yes, thank you. Everybody, please come forward who's a part of this announcement.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Teresa Younger, and I'm the president and CEO of the Ms. Foundation for Women. And more importantly today, I am an advisory committee member of a collective called Prosperity Together. We'd like to thank the White House Council on Women and Girls, as well as the Anna Julia Cooper Center for having us here today to be part of this amazing opportunity and conversation. You will hear briefly from my colleagues, Lee Ropert-Backert, the president and CEO of the Women's Foundation of Minnesota, and she will walk us through the role of women's foundations. And you will also hear from Ana Olivero, the president and CEO of the New York Women's Foundation, as she will share with you more about Prosperity Together. But today, I am joined by this amazing group of executive leaders from the nearly 30 women's foundations from around the country, key leaders in their communities. Jointly, we are here to unveil some truly exciting news. Our collective efforts are called Prosperity Together, and we have come together today to announce that a 5-year commitment of $100 million will be put forward into our communities to enhance the lives of low-income women in the United States. We are all extremely excited when we talk about the collective power of women. These dollars are being raised in communities and going back into communities. Over the past year, I had the privilege of traveling around the country on a listening tour. And as I traveled, I was reminded that real change starts with empowering women in their communities to change their communities and their lives. By giving women the opportunity and the support to create and make the solutions that are needed. To do this, we must first ask ourselves some questions. What are the challenges we face? What are the disparities in these challenges, and why? How do we generate systemic changes that have long-term implications for the next generations? Whose stories are being told and whose stories are not, and why? Knowing what to ask and struggling with the truths of what is missing is critical. Asking those questions, driving necessary research, implementing good, strong policy, creates initiatives and solutions for strong communities. It was said by Audre Lorde, there is no such thing as a single-issue struggle because we do not lead single-issue lives. Women ourselves are not homogeneous. We are different in so very many ways. That's why the conversation today about women and girls of color is so critical. Oftentimes, people try to wrap what we say into one thing. So when we talk about the pay equity disparities going on in this country, we oftentimes hear the number 79 or 78 cents to the dollar. However, if you're an African American woman, you're earning only 60 cents to the dollar. And if you're a Latina woman, you're earning only 55 cents to the dollar. So our experiences are not the same. Our challenges around economic security are not the same. If, as a country, we want strong families that are empowered and communities thriving, then we have to make sure that women have a voice and are economically independent, healthy, and secure. By correcting economic disparities, we begin to build our communities. investing in programs and supporting women, in particular women of color. Today's commitment, the $100 million over 5 years, is more than just about our initiative. It's about trusting women, changing the narrative, and showing the importance of investing in women and their communities. Lee?
Thank you, Teresa. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lee Roper-Batker, President and CEO of the Women's Foundation of Minnesota. Each of us has a significant and important role to play in ensuring that every woman, regardless of race, ability, geography, or sexuality, can be prosperous and thrive in this great nation. So let me tell you about the role of women's foundations. Simply put, women's foundations are community foundations. Through grant-making, research, and policy change, we invest in solutions and build pathways to equal opportunity and economic security for low-income women, community by community, state by state. We know that problems and solutions are found in the same place. This is why women's foundations work on the ground within communities to identify problems and fund innovative solutions. It's especially exciting to make this announcement today at today's historic summit because the work of foundations is steeped in research and informed by community context. In each state and in each community, women's foundations tackle these problems differently. For example, the Women's Foundation of Mississippi learned that unplanned pregnancies were major barriers to low-income women in being able to graduate from post-secondary programs. So they targeted investments to community colleges that provide wraparound services to women to ensure graduation. In Colorado, where Hispanic women earn about half of what their white male counterparts make, the Women's Foundation of Colorado is calling for an equal pay equity commission now and public policies to close that wage gap. And in my home state of Minnesota, data shows that the poverty rates for African American and American Indian women are higher than the national average and increasing. Our response? The Women's Foundation of Minnesota is doubling down on our Girls Best Fund that creates pathways to prosperity for girls of color and rural girls. And these investments, which have benefited 40,000 girls, work. 94% of girls have graduated from high school. 90% have gone on to post-secondary education, and only 4 per 1,000 experience a teen pregnancy. For low-income girls and women in this country, it is investments like these that will make all the difference, ensuring pathways to prosperity and not pathways to predators or poverty. And that's what Prosperity Together is all about. And now I'll turn it over to my dear colleague, Ana Oliveira, who will tell you more of the details of Prosperity Together.
Good morning, buenos dias. We are really excited to be here today because talking about prosperity and prosperity together, I want to talk about prosperity for a minute and together for another minute and tell you what this is about. You can see that, as Teresa and Lee said, it's this collective effort that women's foundations, we're public foundations. How we do philanthropy is just as important as the amount of dollars that philanthropy gives, because the philanthropy we do is authored with the very women and girls with the voices that create the solutions, as Lee said. So what will we do with $100 million in the next 5 years? First of all, I'm going to say that we want to invite our corporate leaders, our philanthropy leaders, our government leaders to make that amount of money 9 times bigger. That's right. Why am I saying? Yes. If we grassroots community foundations can do this, we all together can do this 9 times bigger. But why did I choose 9 times? Because in New York City, we have invested in programs that create opportunity for women to get training, to continue advancing for jobs that pay living wages, that they get benefits, that they can, as Valerie was saying, negotiate their caregiving and taking responsibilities and their professional success. And you know what happened? What they earned in their incomes was 9 times bigger than what we funded in the program. So we need to meet them. We need to meet them. If they can do that individually, we collectively can and should do that as well. So Prosperity Together will invest in education opportunities for girls, for all girls. It will invest in job training opportunities, job success, and job retention. And we know, because as we heard, our lives are very complex and are not single-issue lives, that women can access jobs, but staying in a job and progressing in a job requires more than just job training. Requires adequate child care, quality support, other caregiving care, transportation support, safety, equal pay, family leave, sick leave. It requires the supports for success that human beings need to hold successful families. Prosperity Together will also invest in entrepreneurship for women. So in New York City, in Brooklyn, there are childcare workers, domestic workers that have come together in cooperatives. They share full responsibility for their business, and they share full equal benefit for their earnings. They are raising their families, their children, with abundance, with hope and possibility, not with scarcity. And that is the same thing that they were doing individually without being able to raise their earnings. In 2 years, those cooperatives have earned more than $1 million. That is a game-changing. So our job is to multiply that. We will also support programs like the program in Hooper Mountain in Montana that supports young Native American women to get to college, to complete college, and to succeed. We will support programs that bring all women that haven't yet enjoyed the prosperity that so many of us enjoy in this country. Those are millions of poor women, millions of women of color, young women, women that are living or are in the criminal system, as Valerie described, which is unfortunately such a big part of a growing part of our lives. Young women, older women who are isolated, who have been rejected, transgender women, lesbians, single mothers who are raising very large number of families in this country totally alone without system supports adequate to their efforts. So we will also support, most importantly in some cases, partnerships. We are so proud that the New York Women's Foundation is partnering with, under the leadership of our council speaker, Melissa Mark Viverito, the first Young Women's Initiative with other community leaders, some of whom are here today, where young women are the center of the voice. They are sitting at tables, they are planning tables with other 200 other women in New York City, focusing what needs to be done by government, by philanthropy, by community, by corporations, so that we can bridge achievement gaps in New York City that is adequately and center in front a conversation about the lives of young women of color. So it is this kind of innovative programming, successful programming that others may be reluctant to fund right away because they haven't seen the results yet. But we at Women's Foundations are very pleased to take those risks because we have never been disappointed by the power, resilience, and ingenuity of women in our communities. So I want to close by saying, join us. Check the Women's Foundation that is near you. If you don't find it, go to the Women's Funding Network website, our national association. Find the Women's Foundation, engage. And you, our corporate partners, all of you who are listening, our government partners, stand with us, move with us. We know that nothing will stop us from creating full prosperity together in the United States. Thank you.